Yes, front-end development is dead, and AI is going to take all your jobs. It doesn't matter whether you're a junior developer or a senior developer. In next 1 year, AI is going to take all your jobs. And it's not just me saying this. The internet is full of thousands of videos and articles claiming that front-end development is dead. But here's the interesting part. Almost every vibe coding tutorial still starts a project from scratch. No one really shows how to vibe code or even make meaningful changes inside an existing large-scale application. Don't you see the discrepancy? And I'm not saying AI is bad or it's useless. As a tech lead myself with 10 plus years of front-end experience, I'm using it daily for my coding tasks and other tasks too. Not just me, but all front-end developers in my team are using it heavily to develop, test, and push changes to actual production-grade applications. And the reason to create this video is to give my honest opinion and perspective of how I think front-end is changing or has already changed in 2025 and will change in 2026 and beyond because of AI. Namaste everyone, this is Subodh and let's get started. In this video, we'll cover when we say web dev is dead, what's really dying. Yes, some things are dead. What's not dying? The skills you should focus on. What new opportunities it is giving birth to. AI is not actually killing everything. It is also giving birth to new roles and responsibilities that no one is talking about. Next, how AI is actually changing content development in 2026, or how I personally use AI in my day-to-day work. How I think startups should approach front-end. Or if I have to start a company today, how would I approach front-end or even software engineering in general? Finally, the most interesting part, my honest take on the job market and salary ranges. Yes, we'll talk about numbers and what is happening with the junior versus senior role demands. So let's get started. And I chose this structure because I don't want to directly answer whether front-end development is dead in 2026 or whether you should choose it as a career or not. See, honestly, I don't know you. And giving or taking such a big career advice without knowing the full context is a very risky take. Instead, my goal here is to give you enough data points, clear picture based on my own experience so you can make that decision for yourself. By the end of this video, you should be able to answer just one simple question. Do you think web development is going to die in 2026 or not? And if not, what skills to focus on? All right, enough ranting. Let's jump into the first topic. When we say web dev is dead, we have to first understand what kind of web dev jobs actually exist in the market. There are like two categories, static websites and dynamic web apps. Static websites are those which just only displays information. That doesn't have enough business logic. Dynamic web apps, which has like a lot of functional things, which is a little complex. Those are called web apps. So in static websites, there are multiple categories. Example, branding pages, like the home pages or the brand websites. Next is blogs, which is just for informational purposes. Next, we have e-commerce websites. Yes, it includes a lot of logic, but mostly it is same. You are showing different products and you're adding to cart and then you are buying it. The flow is, it is more for informational purpose. Next is landing pages. Landing pages are like marketing websites which people use to bring the traffic. Then what happened earlier? Every category of this used to be hand coded. Then came the existence of few tools. Like for branding pages, there are tools like Webflow, Wix, Web Studio, because of which branding pages are now kind of dead for the developers. Like even the marketing people can create it, and with less development skills, you can do it easily. So I'm just marking them as red. Next is blogs. We got WordPress, Medium, Webflow. People are starting using these tools, and that also made the coding unnecessary for these kind of websites. So example, blogs are also dead. Next, we got Shopify, Etsy, WooCommerce. What they did, they made e-commerce obsolete. Next came Webflow Wix lead pages again for landing pages. So these are also dead. Now, if you think the static websites market is almost dead for the hand coding, where actual developers are needed. Now, let's come to the dynamic web apps, enterprise web apps. So big complex applications, Shopify, Etsy as a platform, they are not built by some builder tools or something, right? Someone has coded them. Next are like example Amazon, Flipkart. So these are big e-commerce brands. Some more examples are web builders itself, like Webflow and all. So this enterprise web apps used to be manually coded using React, AngularJS, various web frameworks, and still are. Next is SaaS web apps. So there are multiple SaaS applications which comes under this. Next is internal web tools. Companies used to make their internal web tools, analytics dashboards. The AI is now targeting this manual coding. So it can be done with two ways. End-to-end AI platforms and second category is AI coding agents. What do I mean by end-to-end AI platforms? The platforms like Lovable, Replit, All.new, they can give you end-to-end web application with some prompting. So this is actually where it has taken the need of the manual coding. And under AI coding agents, we have Cursor, Cloud Code, or Copilot. This is where it assists developers to manually code. And the problem is this Lovable, Replit, All.new, It removes the manual coding effort. So startups, apps which used to hire developers, it is now going to more product manager or like people who have like basic knowledge of coding. It is now actually started affecting manual coding. And even with cursor cloud code, makes the perception that you don't need manual coding at all. So does this mean web development is dead? Because as you can see, static websites market is already dead. And with all these AI platforms and AI coding agents, should we just stop coding altogether? But it made me wonder, if we have these end-to-end platforms which can write back-end, front-end, DevOps, everything, then why not big enterprises or a lot of startups have already started adopting it at a large scale? I mean, what is the need of coding agents like Cursor, Claude Code at all? Why not ask ChatGPT itself, right? Wait a minute. Hey, ChatGPT, can you explain me the top 5 real reasons in a point-wise format in brief why enterprises and startups still prefer using AI coding agents like Cursor, Claude Code, like why they hand code everything when there are availability of full stack AI platforms such as Lovable, Ball.new, which can actually help them create end-to-end solution. Why they're still manual coding with these coding agents? And please answer in terms of flexibility, maintainability, scalability, reliability, and security. And please keep it brief.
Absolutely. So here are the top 5 reasons in a nutshell. Flexibility. Hand coding allows developers to have fine-grained control over the code, enabling them to customize and tweak solutions exactly as needed. Maintainability. Custom written code tends to be easier to maintain, especially when teams are familiar with the code base. It also allows for easier debugging and updates. Scalability. Hand-coded solutions can be optimized for performance and can be scaled more effectively, especially for complex, large-scale applications. For reliability, when developers write the code themselves, they have better insight into potential issues, making it easier to ensure the reliability of the application. And 5, security. Hand coding allows for more granular control over security measures, reducing the risk of vulnerabilities that might come with more generalized AI platforms. In short, while AI platforms are great for speed, hand coding offers that extra layer of control and customization that many enterprises and startups value.
Okay, thank you, ChatGPT. See, ChatGPT has answered it. So, why companies use AI agents over AI platforms? Number one reason is flexibility, right? You get the flexibility of integrating any technologies in any way you want. Otherwise, you are stuck to the platform. Next is maintainability. If you have hand coded written it, you knows what technologies, tech stack you are using. So you are in a better position to maintain and keep it alive for a longer period of time. Next is scalability. You can run as many pods, you can run the same code in the more scalable, cost efficient manner. Next is reliability. You're not dependent on any other platform. So if that goes down, your business doesn't go down. So reliability matters a lot. Next is security, a very big factor. You're dealing with public data. You're dealing with actual users' data, and that is very important to keep it secure. So when the code is written by you, the data centers are with you, you have the full authority and control over it. So that is very important. So and also one quick dev tip is this is exactly how I talk to cursor, not customer. This is exactly how I talk to Cursor when I'm planning or brainstorming a particular feature. Like I always ask, after giving a prompt, keep it flexible, maintainable, scalable, reliable, and secure. So this is a very good dev tip. So the real question is web dev dead? I think is the wrong question. The better question is software engineering dead? Let me ask you this. Do you see more softwares being created today or less? That leads to a bigger point. What exactly is software engineering? And how is it different from web development people are talking about? Why is everyone suddenly saying that critical thinking, system design, and design systems matter more than ever? To tie up all this together, let's quickly zoom out and look at how software is actually built, the software development lifecycle. And don't worry, I won't bore you with a textbook definition of the software development lifecycle. I will show you how it actually works in the real world from my own experience, and I will try to give you the full picture of how software development cycle actually happens. So let's get started. So let's start with software development lifecycle in the real world. So just to remind you, this is one of the two most important things I want you to take away from this video. One is this, second we'll cover it up next. That is how I am approaching content development in 2026. But let's focus on this first. So how it all starts. It starts with user stories. To make it simple, I've divided into 4 parts, like what each step is, who is responsible for that step, and who actually works on this in the company. Next is skills which are required to complete that particular step. Next is the result, the output of that particular step. First is user stories. What these are? These are actual problems, features, a company is trying to solve. Who is responsible for it? Mostly bosses, product managers in the companies. They talk to the real users or understand the data, and then they define these problems and features. They take interviews. This is what we are called as user stories. The actual problem we are trying to solve. Who is responsible? Boss and PMs. The skills which are required are communication and analysis. You have to communicate with the users. You have to read the data. You have to listen to the market. So all this comes under the communication, and then you have to analyze it. The result is a problem solution understanding of what you are building. Next, after user stories, you have requirements. What are requirements? What exactly we are building? The real clarity on things, the solutions we are building. Who is responsible? Again, bosses or the product managers. Next, what skills are required? It requires critical thinking. You have to understand out of all the problems, all the solutions, which one to choose and give up to a proper analysis. Communication. You have to communicate with your bosses, with the clients again, or maybe you have to see the data again. Next, the result is requirement documents in the Confluence. These are like online software for data and project management. Okay. Next is after requirements, we have Jira tasks. These are exact tasks to be assigned to the team, the different members of the team. And who is responsible for it? The product managers. Now there comes senior tech leads of different departments. What they do, they go to the requirements again. They read the requirement documents. They understand their current platform. They understand what things, what tech stack we have available, what options we have available. Based on this, they create different tasks. And what skills are required? Again, critical thinking, planning, communication. You have to communicate. There's a lot of communication which happens in the real world when you're creating those proper tasks based on the requirements. You have to understand it. And what is the output? The output is the Jira tasks. And the Jira tasks are for different departments. For example, there could be some backend tasks, API docs which needs to be created, design tasks. Then you have front-end tasks. Then you have ML tasks. If you have the MLT, then you have DevOps tasks. So all of this is created during this stage. Next comes the design. So I'm focusing more on front-end development right now. Basically, you're designing the screens, the workflows. Who is responsible? Designers, tech seniors. So here, designers and tech seniors, your tech leads, your managers, they talk to each other. They understand the system constraints, what are the flow we want, what are the limitations of the current system. So if you see, the core skills required here are, again, for the designers, it is core design skills. And they also need communication because they have to understand the problem right. They have to communicate the constraints properly. You have to have critical thinking to understand the edge cases scenarios, to understand the timeline. So it's not just about delivering the most optimized solution. It's about the best solution in a particular time frame constraint. And the output is the Figma files or the workflows. Next is development testing. So basically, after design is done, now comes the coding part, the part with which this video has started. And I've combined both development and testing. Basically, they're separate, but just to keep it simple, I've kept it at a single level. So basically, development testing is coding and testing. Who is responsible? Both junior, senior developers, and the core dev skills are required. And you also need communication and critical thinking because lot of miscommunication leads to lot of issues. And it's not just you can't code; it's about you didn't understand the requirements properly. So what you get as the output is the code. Next is deployment. And for deployment, we are like basically deploying produced code on some AWS, GCP, or Azure. Who is responsible? Mostly DevOps and senior devs. And you might be wondering why senior dev or front end or backend is required because they have to sync up with the DevOps team. They have to analyze, okay, which variables, environment variables are there, and how we are planning to host it, where, what are the resources, what is the status of the current tasks. So all of this is required. And the skills again are core developer skills, core DevOps skills, communication, and critical thinking. So communication is always there. Then you get the live web app. Next is maintainability. You try to maintain the whole application. The goal is keep it running. Who is responsible? All. What skills are required? All. Then you get the profitable app. By the way, none of this goes as planned. On paper, software development looks very clean. In real life, it's more like we planned A, started B, and somehow shipped C. And do you know what actually happens when something breaks? The PM says, that's not what I meant. The designer says, that's not what I designed. And the developer says, that's exactly what you gave me. It's a complete chaos. How you actually survive this? Most bugs aren't coding bugs. They are communication bugs that just happen to show up in code. Software development isn't about following a perfect process. It's about navigating chaos with clarity, communication, and empathy. Let's back to the topic. So, if you observe carefully, there are three common skills. One thing which is common among all the layers is communication. It is very important. Next is critical thinking. Your brain should function, right? It should function right. Next is core skills, your core dev skills, design skills, DevOps skills. And just listed down again, three skills which you should focus and everyone should focus in 2026 and in general also is communication, critical thinking, and your core skills. And now let's just zoom in to the topic we all started with, development. Let's expand on coding task. This is where the video started. If web development is dead or not, there are three choices you can write code. One is manual. You can manually write code line by line. But I don't think so anyone is doing it in 2026. But if you're still doing it, you're a legend. Next is vibe coding. Or you can call it as like simply asking AI to do X in a chat. It's like a one of prompts. Many people are doing it and face issues. And then they say either vibe coding is dead or it's bad or it is not possible to do it in large code basis. Or the third way is context engineering, the way how I am approaching frontend in 2026. And actually, I started it on it last year and I really found some good results. Okay, by the way, we have moved to the second point, how AI is actually changing frontend development in 2026, or how I personally use AI in my day to day work. Okay, let's back to the topic, context engineering. One obvious question now is what is context engineering, right? So for me, context engineering is about giving AI the full picture, how you code, your complete plans, your requirements, design files, workflows, rules, everything, the whole context of what you're trying to build in a proper manner. So it can actually build the things the way you build, not hallucinate. In short, context engineering is how you stop AI from guessing and make it work the way you work or your team works. And if you check the software development cycle again, a lot of that data AI needs or the context it needs is already there, just scattered across different tools or steps. Let's go back. So context files are already present. You just have to look closely. Okay, let me help you. First is requirement docs. These are the actual data, the context the AI needs. Where it present, it's in Confluence. Next is the backend tasks, the API docs. Next is Jira task. It has the details of the exact task which needs to be done, the description, the comments. Next is Figma files, right? These are all the context, the design, layout, screenshots, every context which AI needs. So just to sum this up again, where are the context files? And the resources where it is available is requirement docs, that is in Atlassian. You can get it into your AI code editor via Atlassian MCPs. There are MCPs available and you can actually link those Confluence docs. Next is Jira tasks and task details, from where you can source it again via the same MCP. It is the same Atlassian MCP. You can actually refer to a Jira ticket and it can get all the context. Next is backend API docs. You have those online Swagger links which has all your API details, the types, the objects. And if you're using Supabase, there are Supabase MCPs and that can actually talk to your databases. Even if you don't have any fancy MCPs, you can actually copy YAML files of your API docs, copy paste it in your code, and then refer it. Next is Figma designs. You have Figma MCP available. So it has screenshot support. I have seen many developers just screenshot the UI and try to give context. But if you connect Figma MCP, you will get all those details, all those variables, and different things. So it will make your AI life easier. And next is official documentation links. For example, text that you are using, and you can give all of them also as context. Apart from all of these contexts, there is one more layer. And honestly, this, according to me, is the most important one. Remember the second key point I asked you to focus in the last section? This is exactly that. The last and most critical layer of context, something very few companies are actually investing in, is your project specific cursor files or cloud scales. This layer connects everything. It's like a magic. So, because this is the layer that tells the AI how your code base is structured, you have all of this context, all this data, right? But there needs a common layer, some context files which can tell AI how your code base is structured, what tech stack and technologies you use, your personal preferences, how your team prefers to write code, the exact structure, what coding patterns to follow, because it depends and varies based on team to team, what abstraction to respect, and most importantly, what not to touch. Think of this layer as the steering wheel of the car. All the other context gives engine power, but this decides where the AI goes. Most teams are using all other context right. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to control all of this context using one of prompts. That's fragile and it doesn't scale. The next obvious question is what do I actually mean by context files? What it actually looks like? What kind of context files should you or your team be creating specifically for frontend? This is where the requirement of core skills comes in. And this is exactly that most good engineers and experts are pointing towards design systems, architecture, and good coding practices. At this point, you have to stop thinking about front end as React code and start thinking more about it from first principles. Let's break this down and look at few context file examples. Here are few project specific context file example. Number one is design system file. What it can contain? It can include design tokens, your variables, your component rules, like how to update your code when your Figma changes via MCP. This can have those rules. Your context files can include exact routing and component architecture, folder structure, how your paths looks, where your code goes, your component boundaries, everything can go into this context file. Next is layout and composition, how you exactly want your components to look like, when they should break, your hierarchy, your responsiveness, how you want to handle responsiveness via props, via styles, dark and light mode, all these roles and patterns goes into this. Next is Figma to code orchestration layer. This is a very important layer because this is the place when you ask AI to convert your Figma designs to the actual code. This can actually control whether at this stage only you want to make the backend API calls, you want to integrate that code, or whether you want to first complete the layouting via Figma MCP and then make the backend API doc. So there is a lot can be played here. Next is you have API handling. This covers all the information about your full data, like all your current operations, where your types are present, how you are writing them, whether you're using interfaces, types, hooks, whether you're getting hooks for the data passing, your error handling. Next, you can have state management rules, very clear rules on how to use local versus global state. Libraries like 10 stack rules, how you're writing them, the caching terminology, because all of this is a repeatable code, right? You can actually define context files for it, the patterns which are allowed or not allowed. Next, you can have form handling, context files. Example, when you're creating any form, whether you are using React hook form, it could be like different library, how you're handling the validations, your loading and skeleton states, your success, error handling. Many things normally goes missed in most general apps I see. But this is important in the large scale production application. Next is testing, how you are testing it, what test cases you are writing, and you can create context files for accessibility, like area rules, how you want to handle keyboard navigation. Is there any scroll behavior handling required? The defaults, the security, your like cross-site scripting testing you have to do. You can run this context file. There are open redirect issues or patterns you want to save. So all of this can go on into this context files. And yes, you can create many more as needed. So just to summarize again, these are the different design system files, routing and component architecture, layout composition, Figma to code orchestration layer, API handling, state management, form handling, testing, accessibility, security, and there can be many more you can create. The real skill of context engineering is adding the right level of detail, optimizing these files for the context window, making sure AI picks the right context without being overloaded. This takes iteration, time, and a lot of core expertise and experience. I've just started going deeper into this approach, honestly, and I've already seen very strong results for myself and my team. So now, when someone says AI will replace front-end developers, you can confidently say AI doesn't replace front-end developers. It amplifies the ones who understand systems, context, and architecture. And now, with that, we have covered context files. Next, one more important thing, which is part of this, how I'm approaching front end in 2026 is using plan mode. This is also very important because the custom context files guides the AI to write code in a predictable way that matches your architecture and preference, right? This is what we saw. Next is feature planning. Like when you're on a particular task, when you're in a plan mode, it ensures the AI always has the right context, even when a particular feature implementation takes days or weeks. So you can pick exactly where you left off, phase by phase. So this is that second part. One is giving all the context, having those files ready. This feature planning plan mode is specifically when you are on a particular task, how to approach it. Okay, so plan mode is basically about giving the AI as much relevant context as possible before implementing a feature. So that context can come from above, like MCP servers, which we have discussed, task, Jira details, backend, API docs. And then before you start planning or creating any feature, always first go into a plan mode, try to understand it, and then go to the implementation mode. So plan mode is important for a particular single task. And a lot of back and forth discussion between AI and you. Discuss the entire feature with AI, requirements, edge cases, trade-offs, almost like you're talking to a senior developer who wants a complete picture before touching the code. And at the end of every prompt, I always add something like, please ask any questions before finalizing the plan or implementation or anything. Because what I observed is it is eager, the AI is eager to start doing something, to create that plan. Or if you're in agentic mode, to start writing the code fast. So it stops it. And do not make code changes unless I'm confirmed. So this is the exact prompt I write when I'm in the plan mode. This single line changes everything. During this phase, you will uncover edge cases you didn't think about, scenarios your PM or manager missed, limitations in the current code base, because that is where plan mode is very helpful. This helps close open loops in parallel. While designers or PMs or backend teams resolve those open questions, you and your team can actually start building what's clear. So it is very helpful in pre-planning. Next is one more thing I've recently started asking the AI is, especially for complex tasks, is also please break the plan into logical, chronological phases. Okay, I know it sounds very rhyming, but the idea is to divide the plan into parts, into phases, because to have more control on big tasks, which I think will take days or maybe sometimes weeks. Benefit of this approach is each phase can be tested properly. I can code review it, and you avoid massive risky PRs in large code bases. It's like giving the AI a shared memory: what's done, what's left, and how we have reached the current state. The real goal here is end-to-end clarity of what we are building and how we are building it. So it's not vibe coding. If you look carefully, it's not just generate code and hope it works. The vibe coding approach might be fine for small or throwaway projects, but for large production grade applications, it's a recipe for disaster. But if you go via this approach, you will be amazed by how complex task AI can handle via context files and plan mode when you break features into phases and work step by step. So my final thought is, even after all this, creating this context files, doing this plan mode, I don't think AI will do everything and engineers will disappear. It's much more than coding. Honestly, I hope that happens because it means you are no longer writing boilerplate code that you anyways never enjoyed. That's why framework came into existence. Instead, you get to focus on what actually matters, bringing complex and useful product ideas to life in a scalable, maintainable, flexible, reliable, and secure way. Remember that mantra. And with that, we have covered a very big section how AI is actually changing front end development in 2026, or how I personally use AI in my day to day work. Next topic is how I think startups should approach front end. This is a very high leverage time. So the startups which do it right will get a lot of benefits. So let's cover that. Point one is AI is no longer optional. I mean, let me start with something very obvious. It's very obvious. People are not doing it enough. If you're not using AI, start using it now. AI is a real speed enabler. Just like you allocate marketing budget, sales budget, infra budget, founders now should need to allocate AI budget and AI exploration, learning time. It is very important. If AI can make your team 40 to 50% better, faster, then it's not a tool, right? It's the leverage. That's leverage. If you can make your whole team 40 to 50% faster, you are saving money, not on the team. You are making products faster, reaching to market faster, right? Point number two is systemize front end with AI. I mean, this is my priority number one. My number one priority is create, buy, or yes, steal if required, strong AI front end systems. By AI front end systems, I mean this context files, this knowledge. I mean systemized front end plus back end workflows, solid architecture, well designed, well written context files. Repeatable patterns are already documented. So these are very high leverage files which you can get your hands off. And benefits, it compounds over time. I mean, I'm not sure like how startups are missing on this huge leverage. It compounds over time. Your engineering standard goes up day by day. It makes every new feature faster. You have some repeatable patterns down there. AI knows how to code. It has all that context files. It is growing with your knowledge, and it makes every new feature faster. It makes every new hire productive sooner. Your new hire doesn't need to go and ask how we are doing X, how we are doing Y, where is Z. It is all documented. It can ask AI, it can understand and learn from AI. It de-risks brain drain. People underestimate this, startups underestimate this. I want to repeat again and again. It de-risks brain drain. Your best thinking becomes infrastructure. You have very good engineers, right? Why do when they leave, you are just living on the money? I know I'm stressing it a lot, but please don't underestimate this. This alone can save startups months of time and lakhs of rupees and maybe sometimes crores. So let's understand with an example. Suppose a strong senior engineer in your team, which might cost you 50 to 60 lakhs per year. Assume that senior leaves tomorrow, which is very common in startups, right? Even if you just lose 3 months of work due to poor documentation or missing context of how things work, that's 12 to 15 lakh gone in direct cost. Wait, and that's just the visible part. Now add up the hidden costs, like you have to spend on rehiring time and recruitment fees, onboarding of the new joinee, delays, the bugs, the rewrites due to lost system knowledge, and the team chaos, missed launches, lost customers, opportunity costs. Suddenly, that small gap quietly turns into tens of lakhs or maybe more of rupees. Now ask yourself, what else in your business gives you this kind of leverage this early with this little downside? I can't stress this enough. Let's move on to the next part, how I think startup should approach frontend. Point three is team structure. If you're starting lean, if I'm building a startup from scratch, this is exactly what I do. Like I'd hire 1 to 2 strong senior developers, 2 to 4 junior developers. I like that ratio to be 1:2. That's a sweet spot according to me. But to move even faster, I'd also bring an expert engineer, an AI engineer on contract basis, who can help me build this AI front-end systems right. This is how I would approach if I'm starting, like suppose in the back end or some other areas where I don't have much expertise, and is open to consulting or team training. That is very important. I need that information in today's AI world, how to use this AI systems right. And this is not an alternative, it's a force multiplier. It speeds up architecture decisions, it avoids rookie mistakes, and it compounds learning across the whole day. And yes, it's hard to find such a person. It takes effort, but it's absolutely worth it. And full disclosure, I don't have to worry about this part, especially in front end, because obviously I'm that person. I'm going into another areas like back end or other areas, DevOps, ML. I would definitely use this approach in 2026. But I think you got the point. Now, this is the third point, is the continuation of the last point, how I'd have front end engineers in 2026 and the skills I'd actually look for. And AI has changed everything, like how we build software. But hiring, unfortunately, not so much. I still see most companies are still copy pasting job description, and that's looks like this: like looking for a front end ninja senior developer who knows React, Next.js, Node, DevOps, AWS, Docker, has full stack experience, can design systems, optimize performance, and debug production issues, and if possible, fix bugs instantly and always be available. And obviously, weekends too, right? So if you look closely, this is how the description looks, but it is how it looks to us. Role is senior architect, budget is junior dev, and deadline was yesterday. Apparently, the plan is we'll hire one superhero, underpay them, and AI will take care of the rest. And spoiler alert, it won't work. So, how would I actually hire in 2026 and the skills I'll be looking for? Senior tech leads, I told you right, 1 to 2 roles. So, the must haves which I'll be looking for are strong core front end skills. Like, this is must. You should have a project experience of years at least. System design and critical thinking. That is must now. Interview example, I would ask like them to create a Jira like search filter functionality because it involves lot of edge cases, how you are handling global state, URL states, how would you repopulate your caching, all of these things. So basically, I'm looking for the critical thing and the edge case thinking for a particular developer. Next is communication skills and clarity of thoughts. This is must because you have to have that leadership mindset. You should be eager to like help and train juniors. Accountability is very important. Ownership traits and new must-haves which were not there before, but now these are new must-haves for me, are AI exposure because they have to maintain and create these AI systems, how they use AI MCP servers, their workflows, even awareness of AI usage costs, and design systems is the second part. By this design system, I don't mean the front end development, it's more of Figma awareness, component design systems, and shared library architecture because AI has the potential for like creating components, all of this very fast. But you need to understand the Figma, the design psychology, tokens, variables, and all. So these are new must-haves. So if you get such a senior, just pay them well and keep them happy. Believe me, there's a lot more demand than you think, and there is very less availability. Now, how I'd actually hire junior developers. Remember, 2 to 4 roles, 1:2 ratio, 1 to 3 years of experience. I will hire for that. What I care about is basics: React, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, problem solving mindset. This is important. Demo projects, like if you have done some personal projects, is fine, totally fine. If you can just demo me that you have built something and how you approach it. One big plus is AI tool exposure. Not necessary, but it's a big plus. So when they're using these tools, do they actually try to understand how the code works? What is the right and wrong approach? Not a must, but a big plus. Must haves, which I'll be looking for, are ability to understand requirements. It is important. The communication, should be able to understand the requirements. Seniors hate repeating themselves. You should have that hunger to learn. It is very important. Communication is very important. Honest and hardworking. This is the number one must haves I'm looking for. If you don't know anything, if you are not able to solve anything, don't lie. Just hard work and be honest. It's fine if it fails, but be honest. If you get such a junior, just train them well and keep them happy. Happy is common, man. Believe me, they will give you more ROI than your marketing ads ever will. And one more question I get asked a lot. Do you ask DSA question in your front-end interviews? And the short answer is no. According to me, in a startup environment, execution is greater than theory. Like your learning speed is greater than your memorization power. Your way to navigate with clarity in chaos, I think that is more important than perfect algorithms. DSA is a plus. I'm not demeaning it in either way. It is a good way to think clearly and properly. But it's not a requirement, at least for me, in the startup environment. If you understand the tech, you learn fast, you care deeply about your craft, that's more than enough. And now let's jump back to the topic you all have been waiting for. My honest take on the job market, the demand of the senior versus junior roles, and salary ranges. We'll cover everything here. The current job market, what I think about it. Honestly, I think demand for senior engineers is increasing and will continue to increase in 2026 and beyond. Startups are moving towards a 1:2 ratio of senior to junior developers. That's what we saw, right? Earlier, this used to be 1:4 or even 1:6. So, yes, the demand for junior developers has gone down, but it's definitely not zero. And it can't be zero because startups still like hiring juniors. Juniors cost less, juniors are very expensive. With the right training plus AI tools, they can actually gradually deliver near senior level output at junior cost. So it's a plus. They are usually more hardworking and far more eager to learn. This is my observation, and that's why I think startups still prefer hiring juniors. That said, the demand for seniors, especially AI skilled seniors, will rise. Why? They are real speed enablers. They will create and maintain this AI driven development system. Architecture thinking and design system thinking are critical in a world full of AI generated, like long term unmaintainable code. Like AI is just sometimes give you the slop. And to get the right code from it, that comes up with experience. You have to do code reviews, clear communication. As we see in the software development lifecycle, communication is must, and critical thinking matters a lot. And that comes up with real experience in actual production environments. And most importantly, seniors guide and train juniors. That's why I think it is very important. So, in short, with the advent of AI, demand for both juniors and seniors has reduced overall. But since there was already a shortage of good developers, AI has actually favored seniors more than juniors. Unless we hit true AGI, that's a different topic. But perceived demand for seniors has increased, but demand for juniors has decreased. But there's still ray of hopes for juniors. So you might be thinking like, if I'm a junior, should I just leave the market? What is the point? What is the ray of hopes? What are the ray of hopes for juniors? So let's cover some. And these are not like something made up. You please listen to them carefully and then you decide if these are real hopes or these are like just made up by me. So ray of hope number one, faster junior to senior transition. Now see the magic. With AI, the journey from junior to senior has compressed massively. If you join the right company, one that uses AI properly, not just to generate code in any way, but they brainstorm patterns, they understand tech trade-offs, they discuss architecture decisions. You have to be thoughtful about joining that particular company. And if you actively ask seniors why things are done in a certain way, you question that, you learn about it, you go to ChatGPT, you ask questions, you can learn in 2 to 3 years what traditionally took those seniors 8 to 10 years. Let's be honest, many seniors wasted their first few years doing very basic syntax like CRUD work, basic screens, HTML, and all. And then they stopped learning. But if you avoid that trap, you can surpass them. And if you can prove it that you can deliver to that level, it also means similar pay. So what they were able to achieve in 8 to 10 years, you can do it in 2 to 3 years if you can prove it. That was ray of hope number one. Ray of hope number two. The bar is higher, but reality is still weak. This any person who is in industry can confirm and tell you. Yes, the barrier to entry is increased, but when I interview developers myself with 2 to 5 years of experience, how React actually works, like they don't understand it. Basic CSS, JavaScript questions they fail. State management fundamentals they don't know. They don't know about design system at all. Critical thinking, like they have very poor communication skills sometimes. I'm not saying everyone, but many of them suffer at this point. And this is a must, as we have seen. So on ground reality, there's still a huge gap you can exploit if you are serious. The biggest one is globalization plus remote work. Remote work has completely changed the game, especially for countries like India. I know I'm biased. Because of purchasing power parity, you can actually cost less than international developers. Think about it once. But deliver equal or better quality. And just to be clear, I'm not saying accept low pay or get exploited by the West. I'm saying upskill at hard skills, upskill at soft skills. By soft skills, especially clear English communication and confidence. And then you can charge close to global rates. For example, a junior developer in the West, like in USA, might cost like 50K to 70K dollars a year. Like that comes around 45 to 63 lakhs. If you can prove you are operating at a senior level, even with a junior title, you can at least charge the same as their junior, right? Which we found is 45 to 63 lakhs. That's a win for them and a massive win for you. Final and most important point, my honest advice. By these numbers, you might get fascinated, but if you have any other option, something you are generally interested in, like a family business, content creation, agriculture, or anything else, like if you still have doubts, then pursue that seriously. And this is not a sarcasm, I'm not saying it in any sarcastic way. And consider avoiding front end and software development for now. It isn't the easiest path anymore. I just want to make sure that this gets into your head. This isn't sarcasm. This is the advice from an older brother. The future is uncertain and the bar has definitely gone up. You won't even crack your first job unless you're ready to go all in. The era of mediocrity is over. I mean, I don't think so there are any more benches. No more waiting for projects. No, it's just couches at your home because you didn't get hired. This may sound harsh, and I'm so sorry, but it's a reality. And forget juniors. Even seniors will struggle if they don't upgrade. I can lose my job tomorrow. Years of experience on paper mean nothing if you can't prove your value. That's it. If you have bills to pay, or you have already started your front end journey and already invested a significant amount of time and money into it, or you don't have any other option right now, keep pushing. Because with AI and the right environment, the junior to senior journey is no longer 7 to 8 years. With the right startup, real projects, and visible proof of work via content, your GitHub projects, your online content, you can get paid like a senior in just a couple of years. And that's the opportunity. Last but not the least, the section you all have been waiting for is the salary ranges. Now, the salary ranges of senior versus junior roles in India in 2026. Important disclaimer, everything I'm about to share is purely on my personal observation. What I see people around me getting paid, my view, not data from reports or studies. Okay, so just take it with a pinch of salt. So, what about salary ranges? First, I've divided into three parts: juniors with 1 to 5 years of experience, seniors 5 to 10 years of experience. The new role I was talking about, AI system creators plus stream trainers, is a new role. We'll talk about it. Next, juniors. Entry level, I think 3 to 5 lakhs per annum. My suggestion is go towards the companies which are using AI right. Next is for SD1, SD2 role, you can hit 10 to 25 LPA with just 1 to 5 years of experience. But if you learn the right tools the right way. Next is seniors. If you have 5 to 12 years of experience on paper skills, I think 25 LPA is what Dust is providing. And with real AI plus core skills, you can even charge 75 lakhs per annum. That is the real numbers. I've seen people getting paid even more. Then this AI system creators plus team trainers. Now this is little interesting. It's project based with lower end people who will help you with AI system setup, how to use AI right, also train your team. These roles I think will come up in the future and will help speed up a lot of startups. All the seniors, tech leads, architects might switch to these roles going forward because these would be project specific based, startup based, and lower end would be around 5 lakh. I guess it should be a starting point, and the upper end could be 50 lakh per project. Per project can take maybe a few weeks to few months. And after seeing the salary ranges and breakups, you might feel like I'm being delusional or I'm daydreaming, especially when you compare this with the salary ranges given in online portals or like salary reports. Many of you think, bro, I have 10 plus years of experience. I'm working in an XYZ company. I'm still getting paid 15 to 20 LPA. If that's you, I'll say this very directly. You are most likely underpaid. Not because you're bad, but because one or more of this is true. You are maybe comfortable in your current job. You haven't really upskilled for the how the industry has shifted. You avoid hard conversation, the direct money talk with your managers or your bosses. Or maybe you are in the wrong company, or you are benchmarking yourself against people who are near you. They are also getting paid less, and you feel like, okay, maybe that's the market reality. One more possibility is that I am an exception, or the people I talk to are all exception. And honestly, I don't believe that. And with that, we are done. I know it was a lot to take in, but congrats, you did it. In this video, we covered everything about what's actually dying in web development, what isn't, what the new opportunities AI is creating, why front-end development is not just coding. Like people are saying that web development is dying, but do you understand what software engineering is and why communication and critical thinking matter more than ever? How AI is really changing front-end development in 2026 and how I use it with context engineering, well-written cursor files, and planning mode. How startups should approach front-end in 2026, how they should hire, how I would hire, the real front-end job market today, how it looks like, the salary ranges for juniors, seniors, new front-end system, architect roles, and much more. We have discussed a lot of things in this video. And my goal with this video, like this is the same goal with which we started, to help you decide once and for all. Is web dev dead, or are we just looking at it the wrong way? And more importantly, what you should actually focus on. And if your company is still not using AI seriously, please share this video with your manager or leadership team. Because if you are in a company that doesn't use AI well, you will get left behind. And if you're a founder, manager, or like even a senior person watching this video, I can say this confidently. If you invest in AI and train your teams properly, development will stop being your bottleneck. The real hard problem will be what should we build and for whom and why. The how will get solved very easily by your team. And finally, if this video helped you even a little bit, drop a comment below. Good, bad, it doesn't matter. Comments tell me that at least this connected with someone and was worth the time and effort I spent in creating these slides, this video. That motivates me to take time out of my busy schedule and create such helpful videos, deep practical videos, so you can enter this AI driven world with clarity and not fear. Bye and Sukhi Bhav.
अपने आप को बोलना है मेरे अंदर इनफाइनाइट पावर्स है। अगर मैं कुछ ठान लूं मैं वो कर सकता हूं। फेल होने के बाद भी मेरे अंदर ये करेंट है कि मैं आगे बढ़ता रहूंगा, मैं हार नहीं मान रहा। तो अगर इतनी बुरी सिचुएशन से जब मैं ऊपर उठूंगा तो मैं क्या होऊंगा?